Alright guys, so as you can see in this picture, I have an email that I received not too long ago. It's actually from one of my relatives, and I decided to respect their privacy by protecting their identity. So I'm not going to tell you guys who it is. And what you notice is there's some abuse elements in here. For the purpose of explanation, I'm going to call this person Bob. I don't think Bob knows that he's really using abusive language where you guilt trip and you shame people back into an abusive situation. And of course, I do believe that, Bob is doing this for a good intention, but Bob doesn't seem to understand that by doing this, by writing this message, he's supporting abuse. They never really witnessed what my family did, and I don't find it fitting that they would have something to say about it and that they would be so involved in trying to get me to go back when they really didn't know what went on. But Bob will find out why I did what I did in my coming videos. I'm going to make some videos where I explain in more detail why I fled home. To return to that life, really, it's not going to be safe. I'm not going to get the love that I need, not going to be tolerated or accepted the way I should be. And I'm always going to have to fear that I'll be abused or I'll be in an abusive situation, and I won't really ever know who I can trust because everybody's part of this. Even if they are aware of it or not, they're part of it, and somehow they are supporting it as well by being part of it and by participating in such abusive behaviors, even if they have good intentions. So you have to think about that. So even if those who supported me back then, even if they'll be good to me for a while, you can never really know 100% that they're not going to turn on you, or they're not going to hand you over to those who abuse you, or there are many ways that you can betray someone. There's not just one way to hell. There's not just one way to do evil. So, and I've already seen multiple ways that they have hurt me, even those who have supported me. So I can't trust on that. I can't rely on that. So that's just how it's going to be. I do know they work together. They're all, communicating between one another. It's very evident. When they write something to me, it's always multiple people who write at the same time. So I understand they have some form of plan or agenda with this, but whatever it is, I'm not really going to respond to it. So although I love them, I forgive them. I have prayed for them all. It's too late, the damage is done, and at the time when they treated me poorly, they did have options. They could have chosen not to treat me that way, so they weren't 100% helpless. There were things that they could have done instead of treating me that way that wouldn't have necessarily led to this where we are today. But I do understand that was the will of God, that ultimately they were going to persecute me because I had adopted these new values, which they didn't know was Christian, but I had adopted them and I was going to live that life. So I had to, like the Bible says, I did have to go through that kind of persecution. There's really not much we can do at this point, other than that I can pray and hope that they will change. To many Muslims, actually, when they mistreat you because of their values, which I've talked about is rooted in Islam, the end really justifies the means. And that's not really a life that I want to be a part of. I don't think that it's something I want to be in any way affiliated with. I think that it's not good for me. It's not safe. And I do understand we have a life together of memories. We have a lot that we've been through. And these are people I lived with my whole life. And I spent probably every waking day with them. But you have to, you have to accept how things are. And Jesus have really, through his teachings, I've understood how God has laid out another life for me. Even if things would be very difficult in this life I have chosen now, which I do expect that it will. God says it will be. It won't give me the reason, really, to return to a life of deceit, of satanic doctrines. Some people who've been through what I've been through, they do return to that life after a while when things get difficult. There could be many reasons for this. It could be that the evil that they've been put through, that it gets to them when they're at their weakest. Sometimes they do reach out to you through their evil methods. But it could also be that the reasons why these people fled wasn't necessarily because of these values that they wanted to live. Maybe they hadn't seen the truth, and they hadn't seen the lies, and maybe they fled because of some personal need or greed they were very keen on having. And then if that didn't succeed, then they returned to that life because they hadn't really changed from within to not accept that life. So for me, it really was about a set of values, and it was about something that I really fought hard for. And I confronted the people at the time. This is not something I did over a matter of hours or days. This is something that went on for months and months, and it went on for a lifetime. It just really intensified as I grew older and became serious that last year. So something worth pointing out is I did try everything. I tried everything to get them to understand, to get them to accept. And I spoke to them openly and honestly about what the problems were. I did tell them about what was going on in my mind and how I view the situation. And I didn't see much improvement there. I mean, imagine I hadn't even mentioned that I was Christian and with this guy, and there still wasn't any improvement. So imagine how poor things would have been had I told them everything. And most likely, from what I know about them, they wouldn't even have let me. They would have tried to interfere with these choices. They would have tried to have interventions about it all the time. And that's not something I wanted. I made up my mind and I knew what I wanted. And so I do believe that is why I feel I have made it this far, this long without any contact, and that I haven't returned. It's because my belief systems, what I've done is aligned with that. So even if I were to be in trouble, if I were to, let's say, lose my home, or I wouldn't have any more money again, or if I wouldn't be with that partner again, I still am aware of the causes of things. I know why things happen, and I believe in the things I've done. So it was a matter of how you live life and how you view life than it was about specific things you can get from life. Therefore, I don't think that the difficulty that I will face on this journey following Christ is going to change my decision. So I do have the Lord. Thank God I have the Lord to rely on. He is my rock. And there's no greater rock than that. And I trust and I believe in myself enough to know that what I have been given by God in my previous life, it really is enough to sustain the rest of my life in His will. So I pray for them, and sometimes I do have dreams about them where I speak to them and I really try to explain to them about Jesus and try to open their eyes, because in my dreams they're very insecure about their faith in Allah. I don't know if this is in real life. You cannot know. But in my dreams, I always speak specifically to my brothers, or I speak to my parents about Jesus, and they always come to me in my dreams in doubt about Islam. They talk about specific aspects of Islam that they don't agree on, and then they ask me about that, and I always tell them in my dreams about Jesus and what the truth is, and I warn them. I actually had a dream about that last night, where I told them about Jesus and about His coming. And I said, He's coming very, very soon. And I said that if you guys don't open your eyes before that, you're going to be in a lot of trouble, because Jesus teaches us that there is no other way to God but through Him. So if you don't believe in His word, if you don't believe in what has come along in the Bible, you're going to be in trouble. And I told them about the love of Allah, that they have some problems in their love, in their relationships and whatnot, because of Allah, because of what He has taught people, of this kind of godless love. I really pray that they will find Jesus, that they will see one day and realize that He really is the truth, and there's plenty of evidence for it, and that they disregard all of that confusion there is around the Trinity concept, and they actually look at the evidence first for the Bible, that it is the truth and that it is from God, and that they see the clear differences in the entirety of Islam and Christianity. If you look for it, you'll find it. That's what God says. Knock and the door shall open. Ask and you shall receive. God would never have such violent commands or twisted concepts of how his relationship is with his people, and that he cannot guarantee any kind of intercession on Judgment Day, any kind of safety and security to his creation. It's very strange. It just leaves someone completely clueless about where they stand with Allah. And I really hope that they see these glitches in Islam and that they pay attention to them. Through him, they can be forgiven, they can be saved, and they could have all their problems and all their questions answered through him alone. And I know that the Lord have touched them in many different ways. You can see that in a lot of the great characteristics they have. They are good people, they do good things. But we know that there are many ways to hell. There are many ways for Satan to deceive people. And one of these ways is actually through good deeds. That's why you have in Islam various things that Muslims are supposed to do that are considered good deeds, such as do charity or be good to parents, etc., etc. But it's not going to save you. There are many ways to mislead someone away from the true word of God, and it's not always evil, but it can be masked evil in the sense of that it teaches false reassurance, false security, and it covers the lie up in these so-called good deeds. So it gets you to think that, I'm a good Muslim because I'm doing all these good things. So I should be saved. I should be okay with God. But the Bible teaches us that after we've died, Jesus is going to have many people come to him and say, don't you recognize us, Jesus? We prayed in your name. We cast out demons in your name. We spoke well about you. I don't know. They're going to say a lot of these things. And he is going to respond that I do not know you. Although they say good things about Jesus, the Jesus they know is not the real Jesus, and it's not going to help them. And their good deeds is not going to help them if they've denied the truth. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.